I'm Reverend Kate, and I am really happy to welcome everyone to the Center for Spiritual Living Carlsbad, where we understand that there is a power for good in the universe, greater than we are, and that we can use it. So I'd like to invite you to just relax for a moment while I offer a spiritual mind treatment. So let's just know and remember together that this is a spiritual universe, that there is one thing, life itself, that it is impelled by love itself, that there is nothing else. And so each one of us is made of the very substance of spirit. Each one of us is an individualization of spirit. We are one with this amazing good. And yet at the same time, we are each beautifully unique, creative, and conscious beings. Because I know this is true, I can speak my word on behalf of each and every person here, and on behalf of everyone with whom we are connected and with whom they are connected, on and on, understanding that spirit responds instantly, beautifully. And so I declare that this morning's celebration unfolds in wonderful ways, bringing good to each person here today. And that as we later move out into the world, we are able to take that feeling, that knowledge, that there is good for us, that there is enough for everyone, out with us into the world. And so I say, thank you. Thank you, Spirit, for all this good unfolding. And I invite you to join with me in knowing that this is true by saying together, and so it is. Thank you.
Reverend Maurene asked me to do this song, so I said, sure. But I asked you to help me with it because you've got little sheets with words on it, and you probably know the song anyways. Before the face of God. I hold you
Good job, everyone. And we're so happy to have Rick Dale with us today as our musician. You know, this is a day of both goodbye and celebration. And so I was so happy Rick was here because he's always kind of upbeat. And so we want to keep things upbeat and not be crying about the fact that Robert and Maurene are leaving. So, but anyway, let's give Rick a big hand. Next thing, and we do this every week, is I would like to invite Morgan to come up and help light the candles. And these candles are simply meant to represent and remind each one of us of the underlying spirit of life and the divine unity of all. So first we light a candle for life. Life is everywhere present, flowing through each and every one of us. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is our life now. So please affirm with me, I am life. We light a candle for love. The birth of love happens within each one of us every time we make room for the Christ consciousness in our hearts and recognize our unity. We are points of love within the heart of God. So please affirm with me, I am love. We light a candle for light. The light of God is the presence and the power. We are always walking in the light. We radiate the light of God wherever we are. So please affirm with me, I am light. We light a candle for beauty. We are made in the likeness and image of God. We're each whole, complete, and beautiful, just as we are. We accept the beauty of God's perfection as our perfection now. So please affirm with me, I am beauty. We light a candle for joy. Joy is the very nature of spirit and the true essence of each of us. We celebrate the joy of our own rebirth in the God consciousness. We each bring joy to the world. So please affirm with me, I am joy. And we light a candle for peace. Today and every day we open our hearts to peace. We are each a center of peace in our world. So please affirm with me, I am peace. And finally, I invite you to take a moment to recognize your own inner light that is always shining within as we each honor our own metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Thank you, Morgan. So I have a few announcements. I just want to once again say welcome, especially to anyone who's here for the first time. This isn't our usual attire place, but you know, we're definitely a come as you are place anyway. So make yourself at home. Stay for our potluck lunch, whether you brought anything or not. There's plenty, there's always plenty. And please sign our guest book in the lobby. So just to remind everyone that today, as every Sunday, we offer spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer as our gift to you. So if you have a prayer request for any healing of any condition, you can either speak to one of us during fellowship. One of us, that's me, Reverend Maurene, Practitioner Robert, Practitioner Larry, Reverend Lori, Dr. Gisela. We have a big crew and we love to pray. Or you can also fill out a written request form and put it in the box in the lobby, and then our prayer team will do treatment for you during the week. So, okay, I'll wait. I have one other announcement, but I'm going to wait. Okay, next thing I want to do is thank our volunteers, because obviously this is really a community-based spiritual center. And so we have a lot of volunteers today. Let's thank Pat Zagwin for these beautiful flowers. This is gorgeous. Let's thank Larry, wherever he is. Oh, he's out in the lobby. Thank you, Larry, for being our greeter. And putting up the flags and a few other things. Our treats today are potluck, so give yourself a hand. It looks beautiful. Let's thank Jim for our video recording today. Okay, and our setup was done by my husband, who's not here, Reverend Lori, Johnny, Daryl, whoever came early. So thank us all. And I want to acknowledge our administrator, Jan Sherburne. She will be by the bookstore and can help you with any questions you might have later. And don't forget, our volunteer sign-up sheet is in the lobby, and I think there's a couple of openings for next week. So now, next announcement. As you may or may not know, well, as most of you know, today is a special aloha party honoring Reverend Maurene and Practitioner Robert for their wonderful contribution, and just we want to let them know that even if they're a few thousand miles away, they're still part of our center. However, we still want to give them a little send-off, so I'm going to invite Johnny, because Johnny and Daryl thought of all these decorations and this idea. So Johnny's going to come up, and I'm going to hand him the microphone, and he's going to say a few words.
So what we wanted to do today as a wonderful send-off, we all recognize that that love and joy is our highest vibrating emotion, and one of the things that help takes us up to that level is through song as well as laughter. And one of the things that we recognize about Reverend Maurene is that she is very much the jokester, loves to add jokes into her talks. And so today, one of the things that we're going to be doing during our activity is, as part of our send-off, is to, we asked everyone if you would bring a joke and bring it on a card, and we will be sharing those during the potluck so that she can have a wonderful collection of jokes that she can take with her from us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you're welcome. We also wanted to, if you haven't had a chance to sign the card that was on the front table, I'll put it back out there for you to sign, but I just wanted to read it real quick. Maurene and Robert, even though you will be an ocean away, you will be forever in our hearts. We know there will be visits either here or there, and in between, we will call, text, and write. So for now, we will cherish the sun-ups and sunsets we have left before the bon voyage. And at that time, we will send you off with more love and wishes than there are starfish in the sea. You will always be stars for us, lighting our path in the darkness, leading us to home. Shine bright to both of you.
All right.
I look forward to the jokes. If you have one but didn't think to bring your card, we have extra cards. So during the potluck, you can write them down so she can take them with her. All right. Thank you.
So now you know the plan. We're gonna tell jokes while we eat. It'll be fun. Thank you so much, Johnny, and Daryl, and Maureen and Robert too. Thank you so much. Now, if you don't mind looking inside your program and finding the group reading. We've been reading this every Sunday since this center opened. So let's read it together today. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect love and perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect abundance. And now I'll turn it over to Rick.
You feel like singing, do you? Well, why don't you get on your feet, if you can stand, and prepare to sing out like good Episcopalians. I'm choosing heaven today. You should have the words somewhere there, and if you don't, it's really easy anyway. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing love. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing love today. I choose abundance. I choose abundance today. I choose abundance today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I choose abundance today. I choose peace. I'm choosing peace today. I'm choosing peace today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing peace today. Back to heaven. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing. I'm choosing heaven today.
Good job, everyone. That was great. And now, to the reading, I'd like to invite practitioner Robert up to give us a reading.
Robert, yay.
Yay, Robert! Yay, Robert!
I know it's in here somewhere.
Take it off your ear.
No, leave it on. It's cool.
The problem is it gets tangled with my hearing aid.
Oops.
Oh, well. So, first, since I've got the bully pulpit, I would like to say, really from the heart, an enormous thank you for this send-off. It was totally unexpected.
Hold it close. Yeah, hold it close.
And that's all I have to say. Thank you. So today's reading is a short collection of sayings from Ernest Holmes, our founder, that seem to fit in with the theme of Maurene's talk today and of the whole day's celebration. Nature will not let us stay in any one place for too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of the soul. This is a wise provision, for should we stay there too long, we would become too set, too rigid, too inflexible. Nature demands change in order that we can move forward and live our life to the fullest. Life is not just something to be endured, it is to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. The great law of life is thinking and becoming. And when we think from the lofty heights of the spirit, we will become great, and not until then. Spiritual evolution should make the infinite not more distant, but more infinite. And so it is.
So it is.
Okay, two religious scientists walk into a bar. One says it's happy hour, and the other says, and so it is. I didn't bring one, so I had to come up with them. Anyway, here's a song. It's a Christian song, but I thought about it, and Ernest Holmes considered himself a Christian, so that's good enough for me. It's called My Own Little World. In my own little world, it hardly ever rains. I never gone hungry, always felt safe. I got some money in my pocket, shoes on my feet. In my own little population, try to stay awake during Sunday morning church. I throw a 20 in the plate, but I never give 10 minutes. And I turn off.
Thank you. That was beautiful. We are one. Our world is pretty big. It's wonderful. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce our special speaker, who has been, my partner doing this for a number of years now, and so I'll be especially sad to see you go. But I know great things are going to happen, and it's all good, right? That's what we say. It's all going to turn out perfectly, and I know you're going to have so much fun walking on that beach. We're all going to think about you, and when we get cold and you're nice and warm, it's going to be fun. So let's give a warm welcome to Reverend Maurene.
Thank you, Kate. You can all hear me. Thank you. Well, you can come visit. Sorry. Little music. Okay. Well, good morning. Good morning. It's great to see everyone.
I've never done that before. What are you doing?
Hit your sounds.
I'm too nervous.
Hit your sounds and we'll cut it off.
A real celebration.
I've never done that before.
So it's great to stand up here and see everyone's smiling faces, and I want to say bienvenidos, mi amigas, from Ajijic, Mexico, originally. Yes, yes, Cassandra and her son Julian. Thank you for being here. So the topic for today, the title is called Traveling Down a New Road, also known as Something Greater is Trying to Happen. Sometimes things come out of the blue and, it's like, what? Okay. But you go with the flow. And that's kind of what the talk is about today. I want to talk about that because we own a small condo in Waikiki, and the tenant left, and we decided we would go on to Hawaii for a while. That's where I became a practitioner, Religious Science Church of Honolulu. So kind of have my spiritual roots there. And I'm really happy to invite you all over there for hula and the breeze and the beach.
And not all at the same time.
So, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for this wonderful celebration today. And over 3 years ago, I was teaching in Carlsbad Chapala Center for Spiritual Living, and I was also taking a class through CSL. I happened to call Reverend Kate because she had been the teacher of Robert for his practitioner studies. So I was talking to her, and I think I mentioned, well, we're going to be coming back to Oceanside. Do you need a part-time speaker? Well, it just happened she did, and she sent me what was called a letter of call. And I don't know if you're familiar with that. The ministers are, because when you are called, you sign a contract called a letter of call. And so April 2022, I arrived here, and it's been amazing, just an amazing trip, an amazing and joyful experience. And at the same time, that what I call the river of consciousness is beckoning me to expand my sight, my consciousness. So today I'm going to talk about unity. I'm going to talk about calling. How are we called? How do we listen for the still small voice? And also change. I know some of us don't care for it, but we know what religious science practitioners do with change. We leave it at the little bowl at Starbucks, the tip jar. That's what we do with change. So I just want to thank everybody. I'm going to miss you guys. And thank you for laughing at my jokes. Speaking of which, I have a few for you today. I may have told this one before. You know, there was this devout old shepherd out in the fields with his sheep, and he lost his favorite Bible while he was trying to find a wayward lamb. Well, 3 weeks later, a sheep walked up to him with a Bible in its mouth, and he couldn't believe his eyes, and he took the book out of the mouth, and he said, "Oh, it's a miracle, it's a miracle." And he gazed heavenward, and the sheep said, "Well, not really. Your name is written on the inside cover." And I have a couple of these church bulletins. You ever read church bulletins? I mean, Freudian slips. This one said, "Attend the fasting and prayer conference this Saturday. Meals included." I like this one even better. At the evening service tonight, the sermon topic will be, "What is hell?" Come early and listen to our choir practice. Okay, here's another good one. You know, what to say when you get caught napping in an event or at your desk. And so it is. Amen. I have one more. I have to show you this one because some of you know Edwene Gaines. I think she pronounces it Edwene. And I've heard her speak before, and she wrote a book on prosperity. And she said, and this is a true story, she said when she was in the seminary, the finances were very tight for her and her teenage daughter. And she said they were practically starving. And her daughter was quite upset. But she said, "I told my daughter, have faith. God is so great and will provide." And I would pray about it, and I would have these heartfelt talks, and I'd say, "Okay, God, I need you to come through for us." Well, lo and behold, one day a clerk from the local grocery store called her and said, "You just won a certificate for $100 of groceries." Oh, she was so elated that she ran to the next room shouting to her daughter, see, I told you, God has provided. God is so great." And her daughter looked deadpan, said, "Great nothing. I stood there at the grocery store all afternoon filling out 100 entry forms." Well, you know, we never know how a blessing can come to us. But great daughter, you know. My mother would say, God helps them who help themselves. But in religious science, we say, treat and move your feet. Pray and do something about it. toward that goal. So I wanted to thank Robert for the reading, because it's true, nature will not let us stay in one place too long. You know, for change, we have to listen. We have to listen to that still small voice within us, and we have to accept change. You know, in religious science, just what Kate said in her prayer earlier, we teach that the whole universe, it's all spirit. Everything is spiritual, and it's all God, and we're all connected to this one presence. And we deal with change, and we have the courage to follow our calling. By knowing at all times we're supported, we're one with spirit. All the attributes of spirit are ours. God is unlimited. I am unlimited. You are unlimited. God is creative. I am creative. I mean, when we really understand that, you understand you are the face of God. You are magnificent. And didn't Jesus say something like that? Don't you know that you're God's? Yeah. So I've talked about unity in the past, but we can't talk about it enough. It's the basis of everything. All mystics have sensed that we live in the one life. Now, you may have read the teachings of Buddha, or Joshua ben Joseph, also known as Jesus, or Rumi, or Plato, or Socrates, or Aristotle, Plotinus, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Yogananda, Walt Whitman, Robert Browning. Well, they all say the same thing. We find the same truth, one consciousness. We're one with God. We're one with the whole. And the Spirit of God is embodied in us. Every time we conceive of an idea, we may think it's us, but it's God. It's God expressing itself through us, in us, as us, in this form. Ernest Holmes tells us, he says, that which is infinite cannot be divided. The whole of God is present in any and every point within God. It's all God. You know, and we have a little saying in religious science, there's no spot where God is not. But when we realize our unity, we consciously create more good. We turn away from faulty thinking and negativity. We turn to our good, our God. We listen for intuition. And that's what Robert and I are doing. We're listening. We're listening to guidance to further our calling on this planet in this lifetime. And I like to say I have my radio set to FM God. I watch. Yeah, I watch for things to unfold, sort of as a sign. So, stuff together. I think in the past, well, I love teaching science, and thank you for letting me teach metaphysics and quantum physics in the past. It's been great because by teaching it, you understand more about it. And science and spirituality walk hand in hand. I think they're finding out in science what many have known throughout the ages. And I've said before, you're all made of star stuff. You know, when a star goes nova, it creates from a basic element called helium, which then becomes, is it hydrogen? And then it basically compresses and becomes so hot that all these additional elements are formed, and they make the basis for your body. Oxygen, calcium in your bones, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, sodium, iron. You're all from a star. So I wanted to tell you a story I thought about this week. I enjoyed this story as a child. It's a story in the Old Testament about a little boy named Samuel. And Samuel, his parents or his mother gave him over to the church, to the temple, to, live, basically. And to follow in the footsteps of other great rabbis. Well, what happened was there was an old rabbi named Eli, and he was falling asleep, and little Samuel was lying down, and the Lord called Samuel. He said, Samuel, Samuel. Samuel said, here I am. And he ran over to Eli, and he asked the old priest, he said, here I am, you called me? No, I didn't call you, go back and lie down. So he went, and he lay down, and the Lord called him again, Samuel, Samuel. Samuel got up and he ran into Eli again, and he said, well, here I am, you called me. I did not call you, my son, go back and lie down. So the Lord called Samuel a third time, and we know 3 is a metaphysical number for completion. So the Lord called Samuel. Samuel went into Eli, and he said, well, here I am, you called me. And Eli realized then, no, the Lord was calling the boy. And Eli said, go lie down. And if it should be, if he calls you, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went and lay down and started a dialogue with God. And the 3 implies there is effort. You know, sometimes we don't get it quite right. Try it again, 3rd time's the charm. But in this case, he's listening and he's hearing and he's saying, yes, I'm here, I'm listening. He's here for God. So, any of you play in an orchestra in your life? I used to play in an orchestra and a band. We know some of us. Well, it's kind of like finding your calling when you play in an orchestra. It's because it's like a cosmic orchestra. Your gift joins with others in this lifetime, and you perform something beautiful. So have you listened to the still small voice, that little voice within you? And do you acknowledge your intuition or your gut when something happens and you go, oh, wow. Or just synchronicity, something happens and you go, oh, well, that was fortuitous. It's spirit in action, in you, through you, calling you. So what is it telling you? Are you looking for a new job? You're looking for a new career, new friends, new diet, new ways of loving yourself and others? Listen. New beginnings are often disguised as a painful situation. I mean, it is bittersweet leaving here. It's not that it's painful, it's soulful. But change is never painful. Resistance is painful. So like we say, let go, let God. No need to be afraid something greater is trying to happen. I always like to say, God's got my back. When I was in Ahihik, I met a minister named Raymond Anderson. He's dynamic, amazing guy. Remember Raymond? He said, whatever we have that we call our gifts, our talents, our skills, our blessings, we are called to bring into the world. We are called to be the living embodiment of our spiritual magnificence and live it out loud. Don't hide it under a bushel. Remember, you're one with an unlimited universe. Your mind is God's mind. The creativity of the universe is yours. You're a drop in the ocean. And the drop of water in the ocean has everything that the ocean has, all those attributes. And you have within you strength and patience, courage, unlimited resources, and passion to fill your calling, to answer, to say yes. Ralph Waldo Emerson, we all know, He said, write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. Tomorrow's a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense. You know what we say. The past is history, the future is a mystery, the present is the present, the gift. He says, this new day is too dear with its hopes and invitations to waste a moment on the yesterdays. So do you have anything unfulfilled in your heart? Do you have anything there that you want to feel, you want to see? Sometimes people are afraid because they feel like they're losing something, you know? I don't want to feel that I'm losing all of you. I'm going to make new friends and more friends and invite you along. But when you understand that your life and the history of the universe were written by the same hand, you know, same power, no reason to be afraid. Spirit wants to live fully, and dive into a strong life current that will carry you places that you may not have been fully aware of. Speaking of which, I have a story here I want to tell. Some of you have heard this story before because I got the second chapter from your husband, Dr. Tom Sammer, some time ago. But this is a story from this book, Richard Bach. And he wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, but this one is called Illusions. And on the inside, he writes out a little story here about a water bug, the liberation of the water bug. And what Tom and Jack Boland did was they wrote another chapter. So I'm going to read this to you. The liberation of the water bug. But you can read it in Richard Bach's book too. Once there lived a village of water bugs along the bottom of a great crystal river. The current of the river swept silently over them, rich and poor, good and evil, young and old. Sometimes the current was strong and swift. When that happened, the little bugs would dig down into the mud in order to survive. Sometimes the current was so soft and gentle, the bugs would come out and cling to the rocks along the bottom. So their way of life was digging in the mud or clinging to the rocks. They were taught that the way to survive was to resist the current. One day, one little water bug said to the others, well, I'm tired of the mud, the digging and the clinging. I shall trust the current, even though I can't see it with my eyes. You can't see current. I shall let go and let it take me where it will. Clinging, I will die of boredom. Well, the other water bugs laughed and called her a fool. If you let go, the current will smash you against the rocks and you'll die. There are new self-help books out there, How to Cling in Spite of It All. Learning to Love the Mud. Read them and be content. But this water bug did not heed their warning. She felt a deep calling, a deep desire. And she proclaimed it, and taking a deep breath, she let go. And the current took her away. And she tumbled and was smashed against the rocks, but water bugs have thick shells, so in time she was released from the bottom. The current lifted her up, and she was bruised and hurt no more. She refused to cling again. And she passed over other water bugs downstream, and some of them hid, and some of them were marveled. Wow, she was floating with the current. It's the Messiah. She floats without effort. She's a water bug, yet she flies. Walks on water, huh? No. She said, I'm no more Messiah than you are. Well, you can do what I'm doing just by releasing and letting go. The river delights in setting you free. She said, if only we would dare to let go. Our true work is this voyage, this adventure. But they wanted a savior, and they clung more tightly, and they made up stories and legends and holy books, and they went back into the mud. So finally she came to a place in the river. This is the second chapter. When the current was very gentle, she met other water bugs who had taken the same journey, who had been willing to risk and let go. They had moved out of a two-dimensional mud, and they were free floating. They allowed the river to nourish them, let the water flow through them. They simply found that if they opened themselves to the river provided. So she rested. She told stories of her journey. And they formed groups and studied books. How to float in spite of being a water bug. The 12 steps of water bug consciousness. Etc. So one day she was floating and she saw a stem. She didn't know what it was. It was from the bottom of the river and it seemed to disappear as it went up. And she asked the others, "What is that?" They said, "Oh, don't go near that, don't go near that." There was once a water bug who crawled up that stem. We never saw him again. Well, despite the warning, again, she felt this deep, deep calling. And she began to climb the stem. Finally, she came to the top and she entered a new environment, a new dimension, something she couldn't describe, something she had never felt before. She felt a new and different kind of current. It began to warm her. She was on a lily pad and the gentle breeze was caressing her and the sun was warming her body. And she laid there in peace and serenity, contemplating the goodness of her new dimension of life. Something began to happen, though, with her body, and the cold, hard shell that had encased her began to crack. She was frightened at first, but it seemed like her body was falling apart, and as the crusty shell began to break open, she felt an inner movement, a trembling. A beautiful net-like wings began to expose themselves in the sunlight. She lay for a few more seconds, merging in the majesty of her new life, incorporating her consciousness into a new body. And then she began to experience herself rising, feeling the air mingling with her new wings. Before her very eyes, she saw herself being transformed into a glistening green dragonfly, flying out into the morning sky. So, I love that story because it is a metamorphosis, and we all go through it. We all go through a metamorphosis. I wanted to read to you a quote from Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity Church and the metaphysical teaching. He said this when he was 92 years old. He would get up in the morning and he would say, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and leap forth into a mighty faith to do that which is mine to do." Mine to do. His calling. So we live in a time that calls us to expand, to fling ourselves into life. This is what he said. With creativity and zest. We are invited to be sparked by the primordial fire from which we came. We are to become flames of love that burn away fear and bring forth warmth and compassion to all creation. So one last quote before I wrap this up. She's an interesting writer. Her name is I don't know what the A stands for, A. Helwa, Helwa. She's an Islamic writer. And she has two great books called The Secret of Divine Love and From Darkness into Light. She says, like snowflakes, we all come in different shapes with a unique mission on earth. No matter what your calling is, the world is depending on you. Existence is a puzzle. Without you in it, it would be incomplete. Now's the time for you to step into all that you know you can be. but have been afraid to become. So I just want to say, before I get teared up here, I love that poem by E.E. Cummings, I Carry Your Heart. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I'm going to miss you all. And I just want you to look at the person next to you and see the divine. Look at the divine in the person next to you. Now, look at the person sitting in your seat. Look at that divine. And thank you all. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the laughs. It's been great. And the last thing I want to say is keep on talking to God. It's okay if you talk out loud. Keep on talking to God. Something greater is trying to happen. Just say yes. So it is.
Well, as you travel on your glistening wings, you're leaving a huge hole behind you. But nature abhors a vacuum, so it's going to get filled. There's something wonderful. So anyway, I'd like to do a song that you probably heard. And if you're heading down the road, it helps to see clearly. So.
You have a gift. You have a calling. Thank you.
I flap my gums.
All right. Well, this is our opportunity for giving. And I just want to say in advance, thank you. Thank you for supporting this church in so many ways. And we have a little saying in your bulletin here. Let's say this together. Divine love flowing through me. Bless and multiplies all that I have, all that I am, and all that I receive. I know this is so, and so it is.
I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful for all that I have. I'm so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Thank you. This is our time for a spiritual mind treatment. So I don't know if Reverend Maddie likes to do a closing. I'll bring it to you.
So as we prepare to leave today, we prepare with a heart full of love, full of gratitude for all that we have been given and all that we are yet to receive. We give thanks today for our departing minister. We give thanks for Reverend Maurene and her partner Robert, and we know that this is a day of celebration. We celebrate the love, the light that they brought to us, that still shines within us, and we wish them well, Godspeed, and give thanks for the love and light that still lives within us, for the light, the glow that they leave with us, and we know that light still shines, for God is all there is. We believe in that light. We live in that light. We give thanks for the light, and we carry that light with us today out in the world. For we know that it's ever shining. It ever guides us to higher and higher heights. And we know when we feel that twinkle, that rumbling inside, that something new is happening. Something new is about to happen. And so we wish Reverend Maurene and Robert Godspeed as they carry their light into ever new and higher consciousness. For our light will continue to shine, for Spirit is here with us. And so it is.
And so it is.